Alas, when time has left you by, you see things in a new light. When a fair maiden bestrides your eyes, you do not see any blight. Bourne Manor was changed indeed, as the villagers eagerly told. Frenchmen and Normans strode everywhere, and blew the people cold. Grey pillars rose from the pastures green, and the grass bled its colour in shock, at sight of the fortresses dotting the land, all towers of strength, might and rock. The Normans had taken the manor, and skirred all the country around. They'd driven a wedge twixt master and man, and occupied all of the ground. Men looked around in cowed amaze at a terror they could not see, but oppressed them daily as a heavy load, and made them never free. Leofric himself was in his grave. Hereward's own sire was dead. He had dared to face the invading hordes, now his fair skin was dyed bloody red. Good Abbot Brand was hanged for harbouring those who had fought, but many he had saved in his chapel hut until he had been caught. Lady Godiva was a white rose, which flowered in the Edward sun, but the Normans had come with lusty eyes, and stripped the petals one by one. She'd ne'er been seen from dawn to dusk, the sick and the poor she missed. Nothing appeared but dark rumours of dark foul things practised. When Hereward's band rode up to the hall, the walls were dark and cold. The happy play places now were still, as if heaven itself had been sold. Quiet reigned as Hereward strode to the windows of his house, to look inside for his family and the garrison to easily rouse. What greeted his eyes brought red to his lips, and his fingers clenched into fists. A drunken rabble had his mother fair, naked and bound by the wrists. Now Hereward returned to Swallow, and readied himself to fight. His axe rose high for heaven to prove, its notches glinted in the light. Hereward moved with purposed intent, while his friends followed at a rate that gladdened his heart as he steeled himself and kicked open the wooden gate. Those Frenchmen turned in speechless amaze at Hereward's lion-like roar. Bolt-like he rushed with axe upraised, and a foeman crashed to the floor. They uncertain rose with whitened cheeks, wiping foam from bloated lips, but Hereward swooped like the golden fowl, and his blade their soft flesh rips. Two of them faced him together, but he attacked them with a laugh. Where the sweet one's head was a blooded pulp, the backstroke cut the other in half. Martin Lightfoot leapt into the fray, and gave out a cunning blow that threw a foe down like a wanton toy, and caused his red blood to flow. Hereward's blade was a wall of steel, so quickly was it swept. Foe after foe fell to good earth, with death a promise kept. With screams and frenzy the Frenchmen ran from these venging angels of death. If the lifeblood can be a currency, they showed their enormous wealth. In just 10 minutes their fate was sealed. The hall was filled with the dead. Hereward would allow none to yield, but called out to the men that he led, "I've led you to victory in the field. Now put your training to good stead, and lay before you axe and shield. We'll fill these Normans with dread." When at last it was finished, mother and son embraced with joy. Godiva found love had not diminished. Hereward was her little boy. She said, "My child, you'll ne'er be banished." He said, "I'll never again annoy." After all the burials were managed, he introduced Torfrida so coy. Godiva all these Frenchmen blessed, and laid them to a better rest. Even if they had her messed, that was best forgotten, not stressed. And after all the stories long, and talk of all the right and wrong, Hereward gave forth his voice so strong, bursting into violent song. "Harold, you've died at Provence, near all your men went with thee. After a great march to the sea, you've been denied the victory." Harold had been a Wessexian, and as all such was pale and wan, but you had to admire this man. At Stamford the Vikings ran. So, no Norman law for me, let's set old England free, for merry England's sake, come Saxons all, awake. Men came from behind their doors, remembered again their cause. Here was a hero bold, who never be sold. No Norman law for me, let's set old England free, for merry England's sake, come Saxons all, awake. Who is this King William? Does he think for this we'll stand? In his veins his blood'll congeal, his flesh won't keep out our steel. No Norman law for me, let's set old England free, for merry England's sake, come Saxons all, awake. I'll face him man to man, so that anybody can put on a potter's grace and look upon his face. No Norman law for me, let's set old England free. For merry England's sake, come Saxons all, awake. So come all to Hereward, gird on your bow and sword. If you'd rather not be slaves, then fall upon these knaves. No Norman law for me, let's set old England free. For merry England's sake, come Saxons all, awake. So come and join our throng, and sing our battle song. If the Normans you defy, let this be your battle cry. No Norman law for me, let's set old England free. For merry England's sake, come Saxons all, awake. Awake, awake, awake.